if I told you that some people dream about disasters days before they happen? And what if I told you that science is starting to take this seriously?
You're about to discover the fascinating world of prophetic dreams, those mysterious nighttime visions that seem to predict the future. We'll explore real cases that will make you question everything you thought you knew about dreams, dive into what scientists are saying about this phenomenon, and by the end, you might start paying closer attention to your own dreams.
The Abraham Lincoln dream that changed history. Let me tell you about one of the most famous prophetic dreams in history. Just days before his assassination, President Abraham Lincoln had a vivid dream that shook him to his core. In this dream, Lincoln walked through the White House and heard people crying. He followed the sounds until he reached the East Room, where he saw a coffin surrounded by mourners. When he asked a soldier who had died, the response chilled him. The president. He was killed by an assassin. Just a few days later, on April 14th, 1865, John Wilkes Booth shot Lincoln at Ford's Theater. Now, you might think this is just a coincidence. After all, Lincoln was living during the Civil War, a time when death threats were common. But here's where it gets interesting. Lincoln's dream wasn't just about dying. It was specifically about being assassinated, lying in state in the East Room, and the exact emotional atmosphere that would surround his death. When dreams become reality. Lincoln's case isn't unique. Throughout history, people have reported dreams that later came true with startling accuracy. Let me share a few more cases that will make you wonder. In 1966, a coal waste tip collapsed in the Welsh village of Aberfan, killing 144 people, including 116 children. But here's the eerie part. In the days leading up to this tragedy, several people reported having dreams about the disaster. One of the most documented cases was that of eerily Jones, a 10-year-old girl who told her mother about a dream where she saw her school covered by something black. She said in her dream that the school was no longer there. Tragically, eerily was one of the children who died when the coal waste buried her school just 2 days later. Dr. John Barker, a British psychiatrist, was so intrigued by these reports that he investigated and found 76 people who claimed to have had premonitory dreams or visions about the Aberfan disaster. These weren't vague feelings. Many described specific details like black materials, children in danger, and the Welsh location. The problem with prophetic dreams. But here's where things get tricky. If prophetic dreams are real, why don't they happen more often? Why can't we use them to prevent disasters? And most importantly, how do we tell the difference between a genuine prophetic dream and just our imagination? This is the challenge that has puzzled scientists, psychologists, and dream researchers for decades. Every night, millions of people have dreams. Some of those dreams are bound to match up with future events by pure chance. It's like playing the lottery. Someone's going to win, but that doesn't mean they have magical powers. Psychologists call this confirmation bias. We remember the dreams that come true and forget the thousands that don't. We also tend to make our dream memories fit what actually happened later without even realizing we're doing it.
what science really says. So what does modern science actually say about prophetic dreams? The answer is more complex than you might expect. Dr. Stanley Krippner, a professor of psychology who has spent decades studying this phenomenon, conducted controlled experiments in dream laboratories. In these studies, people would try to dream about images that would be randomly selected the next day. The results showed that some people performed significantly better than chance would predict. But other scientists argue that these results could be explained by flaws in the experimental design or statistical coincidences. The scientific community remains divided. However, there's another angle that's gaining attention. Some researchers suggest that what we call prophetic dreams might actually be our subconscious mind picking up on subtle clues that our conscious mind misses. Think about it this way. Your brain processes thousands of pieces of information every day. Maybe Lincoln's subconscious picked up on increased tension, suspicious behavior, or other warning signs that his conscious mind didn't fully register. His dream might have been his brain's way of warning him about a real threat.
The neuroscience of dreams. Recent advances in neuroscience are giving us new insights into how dreams work. We now know that during REM sleep, your brain is incredibly active, processing memories, emotions, and information from the day. Dr. Matthew Walker, a neuroscientist at UC Berkeley, explains that dreams serve as a kind of overnight therapy. Your brain takes fragments of experiences, emotions, and memories and weaves them into stories. Sometimes these stories might accidentally predict the future simply because your brain is very good at recognizing patterns. For example, if you've been subconsciously noticing that your friend seems upset lately, you might dream about something bad happening to them. If something actually does happen, it might seem prophetic, when really your brain was just processing social cues you weren't consciously aware of. Famous cases that make you wonder. But some cases are harder to explain away. Let me tell you about a few that have stumped even the skeptics. Mark Twain, the famous author, had a vivid dream about seeing his brother Henry lying in a metal coffin in his sister's living room with a bouquet of white flowers and one red rose on his chest. A month later, Henry died in a steamboat explosion. When Twain arrived at the funeral, everything was exactly as he had dreamed, including the specific flower arrangement that a woman had placed on the coffin just before Twain arrived. Then there's the case of Jean Dixon, who became famous for supposedly predicting President Kennedy's assassination. In 1956, she told a reporter that a Democrat elected in 1960 would die in office. When Kennedy was killed in 1963, it seemed like an amazing prediction. But skeptics point out that Dixon made hundreds of predictions, and most of them were wrong. This is called the shotgun approach. Make enough predictions, and some are bound to come true. The technology factor. Here's where things get really interesting. In our modern world, we're starting to use technology to study dreams in ways that were never possible before. Researchers in Japan have developed machines that can actually see what people are dreaming about by reading their brain activity. These studies show that our dreams are much more complex and detailed than we previously understood. Some scientists are even exploring whether quantum physics might play a role in consciousness and dreams. While this is still highly speculative, it raises fascinating questions about the nature of time, consciousness, and reality itself.
Cultural perspectives. Different cultures have very different attitudes toward prophetic dreams. In many indigenous cultures, dreams are considered just as real and important as waking life. Some cultures have designated dream interpreters who help people understand the meaning and potential warnings in their dreams. In ancient Greece, people would sleep in temples hoping to receive prophetic dreams from the gods. The practice was so common that they built special dream temples where people could go to seek guidance through their dreams. Modern Western culture tends to be more skeptical, but even here, many people report having dreams that later came true. Surveys suggest that about 18% of people believe they've had a prophetic dream at some point in their lives.
The memory problem. One of the biggest challenges in studying prophetic dreams is the unreliability of human memory. Our memories aren't like video recordings. They're more like rough sketches that get redrawn every time we remember them. Psychologist Elizabeth Loftus has shown through decades of research that our memories can be dramatically altered without us realizing it. When something happens that reminds us of a dream we had, we might unconsciously modify our memory of the dream to make it seem more accurate than it actually was. This doesn't mean people are lying about their prophetic dreams. It just means that human memory isn't reliable enough to prove whether the dreams were truly prophetic or not.
What about your dreams? So, what should you do with your own dreams? Should you ignore them completely, or should you pay attention to them as potential warnings? Most sleep researchers suggest a balanced approach. While there's no scientific evidence that dreams can predict the future, they can definitely provide insights into your subconscious thoughts, fears, and concerns. If you have a dream that really bothers you, it might be worth examining what it could represent symbolically. Are you worried about something? Is your subconscious picking up on a problem that your conscious mind is ignoring? Keeping a dream journal can be a useful tool for understanding your own patterns of thought and emotion. Just don't expect it to turn you into a fortune teller.
The bottom line. After looking at all the evidence, here's what we can say for certain about prophetic dreams. They make for fascinating stories, but there's no scientific proof that dreams can actually predict the future. What we do know is that the human brain is incredibly complex and capable of processing information in ways we don't fully understand. Sometimes what seems like a prophetic dream might actually be your subconscious mind working with information that your conscious mind hasn't recognized yet. The stories of prophetic dreams continue to captivate us because they touch on something fundamental about human nature, our desire to find meaning and patterns in the chaos of life. Whether these dreams are glimpses of the future or just the result of coincidence and selective memory, they remind us that consciousness and dreams are still among the greatest mysteries of human existence. Maybe the real question isn't whether prophetic dreams exist, but what they can teach us about the amazing complexity of the human mind. The next time you have a vivid dream, pay attention to it, not because it might predict the future, but because it might tell you something important about yourself. Hit subscribe to dive deeper into the mysteries of the human mind.